long snapper there too to call it out. All right, let's go to Tampa, where the Bucs' perfect season has come to an end after losing 31-25 to the defending champions Sunday. The Bucs have been slow starters this season, ranking 28th in the NFL in yards per game in the first half this season, but they've woken up at halftime, ranking in the top 3 in the league in both yards gained and yards allowed in the second half. Tampa's going to fly across country to Seattle for Week 5. Marcus, you see the numbers there. Why do you think the slow starts have been an issue for the Bucs?
I'm not sure. I mean, you look at the run game early in games. Bucky didn't get going. Really, in the pass game is where he was dominant in this last game against Philly, finding those matchups. If it's not going to be the run game, find those matchups earlier. This team has had to be the cardiac kids for the 4 games that they played and almost worked themselves back into an opportunity again to have a chance to win the football game. But they have to figure out a formula to get Bucky. Look, Egbuka on the scene, obviously Mike being out with the hamstring. Bucky Irving is the key driver to what you do from an offensive standpoint as far as touches and trying to get him to be dominant. Do it a little bit early. If that is the passing game, let's find ways to get him out in space so he can create. The dude is a phenomenal football player, and he can impact the game beyond being in the backfield. So do it earlier.
Yeah, they can't run the ball the way they did last year. They were 5th in rushing success rate last year, 23rd this year. And watching back some of those field runs, it's the offensive line. This is, to me, is where the injuries are showing up, right? Luke Gadecki, their right tackle, I hope I said his name right, has been out. Tristan Wirfs came back from injury. Cody Mauch has been out. And they're still trying to run the same stuff. It's a lot of counter. But when you go back and you watch them against these Eagles, especially the 6-1 fronts that they run, they're just not displacing any bodies on those gap runs. And Bucky's having to bounce runs. And everything starts with that run game for them. So for me, this is really just about the offensive line getting healthy to resume that. It's not a schematic thing. It's not about the backs. I think once their offensive line is healthier, they can get back to running the ball the way they did last season.
Yeah, I would say in this game particularly, they were just a bad matchup against Philly because they were down their receivers. Because everyone knows the weakness in Philly's defense is trying to get to really corner 3, right? Yep. But that means you got to play in like 11 personnel, and you got to have those 3 wide receivers on the field. With some of the injuries, you're only in really 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, and so then you're really only seeing Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell at the corner position. So I think that's one of the things that stands out about the game is like you're trying to find that matchup to that cornerback 3, but Mitchell and DeJean are on your wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. Yeah. I think that's also something to pay attention to moving forward with Philly's defense is I want to get them in nickel, at least with that outside corner not being DeJean. But I also don't want to live in 11 personnel versus their defense. I think that's kind of if they had their full house of wide receivers, I think they would have had the more matchup success.
They exploited a little bit.
Yeah, they just didn't match up because of the injuries well against those 2 corners. I think you can make the case that those 2 corners, at least from an offensive perspective, I think they're playing as good as any corners in the NFL, both of them.
Yeah, they're stacked, the Eagles.
They can cover, man.
To your point, the Rams were the only one that could exploit it.
Yeah.
They found that Devontae matchup, and they went to work.
Yeah. They got some pretty good ones over there, too, with Devontae and Puka. All right, still ahead for some of the losing teams from the weekend. Let's start with the Niners, whose perfect start comes to an end after losing to the Jags on Sunday. Mina, what went wrong for San Francisco?
Well, Brock Purdy turning over the ball is a big part of this, but I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. We wanted to see how this pass rush looked without Nick Bosa. Not great so far, unfortunately. Trevor Lawrence was rarely pressured in this one. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. The only Niners pass rusher who had more than 1 pressure was Bryce Huff. None of the defensive tackles registered pressure. This is going to be a problem for them moving forward. The Jags' offensive line is much improved, but it is not that much improved to the point where none of the Niners pass rushers can make any difference at all.
Let's go to Tennessee, where the Titans were shut out on Sunday by the Texans. And after the game, quarterback Cam Ward had a very blunt assessment on their 0-4 start. Take a listen.
I mean, we're keeping the buck right now. We ass. So we 0-4. We have, at this point, we got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything.
I love him. Marcus, what do you think of hearing that from Cam Ward?
First step in recovery is that means you have a problem. And Cam Ward is right. This offensive line, I thought, with Bill Callahan coming over, was going to be better. He's been hit more than anybody in this league. Some of that is just trying to extend plays and find people downfield. And then, too, like in the preseason, y'all remember him McCaffrey really looked like it was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
He can't get anything going offensively. He's not being protected well. in the run game is not effective at all. It's a bad recipe for a rookie quarterback. And in Cam's mind, just like you talked about in his evaluation out of college, Dio, he wants to make plays.
Yeah.
So it's going to be extended when he's trying to find somebody downfield. I think this offense right now, identity-wise, is in crisis.
Ooh. All right. Hey, let's go to Las Vegas, where the Raiders lose 25-24 to the Bears after Josh Blackwell blocks a 54-yard field goal attempt by Daniel Carlson. Dan, Blackwell had gotten some intel from his teammate, long snapper Scott Daly, on a tendency that he spotted. You spent some time watching that Raiders field goal unit. What went wrong on that play?
Yeah, I think that there were some tells on the timing of the snap. These are all the extra points and field goals throughout the game. You see the flash of the hand from the holder, ball gets snapped. Flash of the hand from the holder, ball gets snapped. This is every kick that the Raiders had lined up to against. Flash of the hand, ball gets snapped. And so I think that the Chicago Bears special teams unit just started to get tells on the timing of the snap and when it was going to actually happen. They almost get it there. And then to end the ball game, flash of the hand, ball gets snapped. They get a beautiful jump, outstanding effort, and it really obviously wins the football game for them. I think that's a shout out to the Chicago Bears special teams unit. Just if that was the tell, that they timed it absolutely perfectly as the game went on.
Smart of the long start to the season. And a lot of it has had to do with the defense, okay? In the last 50 seasons, there have been 2 defenses to start a season with 4 straight games forcing at least 3 turnovers, including 2 interceptions. One is this year's Jaguars. The other is the 1996 Packers, who did it in 6 straight games to start their Super Bowl winning season. Dan, why has Jacksonville defense been so successful so far this season?
Outside of those turnovers, I think 3 things. Number 1, Jordan Lewis. His addition to their defense and playing the nickel has been a big deal. His understanding of run concepts, how he can get skinny or underneath blocks and make tackles, has been a big deal. Number 2, they got heavy-handed defensive ends. Josh Hines, Allens, and Travon Walker, those dudes set the edge. You're not getting the ball to the perimeter much in their run game. They are sticking that hand out and keeping their outside arm free. And then gap integrity. This is called the pirate stunt with that defensive line. But then somebody's got to keep the ball inside, and those backers got to fit it the right way with that inside shoulder and a scrape over the top. I know that the turnovers, maybe not as roller coaster ridey. You're not going to get that many to bank on, but I do think that there's been an improvement with how they're playing the fundamentals of their defense, and they fly around and hit you.
Came alive with some big plays in their 34-27 win over the Commanders. Michael Penix Jr. averaged 12 yards per pass attempt on Sunday, the highest mark by a quarterback with at least 20 attempts in a game this season. It's actually the 3rd highest by a Falcons QB in a game going back to 2000, trailing 2 Matt Ryan performances in 2016. Ryan won MVP and took Atlanta to the Super Bowl that season. Mina, what was the biggest difference in this Falcons offense on Sunday?
I mean, there were a couple great performances, obviously Bijan, Kalpis, but this was the Drake London breakout game we've been waiting for this season. True 3-level threat. Couple things stood out to me. 1, how much he was aligned in the slot. I think that's where he's at his best. 6 of his 10 targets were from the slot, and you saw him continuously win there. And then finally, they used him on some in-breakers. I've been complaining constantly on how much this offense is dependent on outbreakers, but they had Drake London run the in-cut on the dagger concept. He's so good at those routes, and then a slant aligned wide. More of that, more of Drake London in the slot, more of throwing over the middle of the field, please.
I think you tweeted about this, didn't you? Did
Well, everyone in
tweet?
Atlanta hates me.
Well, yeah.
But no, I agree. Like Drake's
Come on,
been in the
Dan.
slot for like 2 years now. That's where he's been his best. I thought Bijan was insane as well. Bijan had 3
Insane.
or 4. He was
Insane.
great blocking. You know, Drake London's willingness to be a blocker.
Oh, this is so true.
Was outstanding. I also
Really
think
good.
just like Bijan's ability to break tackles, man. Like, it's not like Bijan breaks a tackle and it goes for 2 or 3 more yards. There were multiple times where he broke an arm tackle and went for like 15 or 20. They were explosive. They were very explosive on Sunday. I don't think Washington's defense was great, but that was a really good performance by that offense.
All right, we'll see if they can keep it up. Still to come, the injuries for the Ravens continue.